Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to be together with so many friends and supporters of Core Tanzania and Twegashe. Phase 1 construction of the school is now complete, and we are midway through the second year of operation, working to provide a quality education to Bushasha children. Since a lot of our satisfaction at being involved with Twegashe School comes from being around the kids, we thought we'd like to use this time together to introduce you to some of the Twegashe's wonderful students and share more about the school's education program at the same time. First though, this slide gives an overview of the school and where we are so far for any of you who might be new to the project. Twegashe School was a response to extremely overcrowded conditions in the village government school and the desire of villagers to have a second primary school that taught in English, so their kids would have more chance to succeed in secondary school. One of the key features of the quality education we are aiming to provide at Twegashe is hands-on, minds engaged. We want kids to learn to think rather than just memorizing. In kindergarten, we are using a modified Montessori curriculum, modified since we have to make sure we are also including everything prescribed by the Tanzanian government. We have 15 kindergartners in the morning and 15 in the afternoon. The cohorts switch time midway through the year.
This is Karen, and if you say Karen like an American, the students don't know who you're referring to. Karen is one of Twegashe's new kindergartners, working on a number sequencing puzzle that has a self-correcting feature many Montessori activities share. This means the student doesn't need to depend on the teacher as the source of all information. We're trying to help kids become comfortable with numbers and gain a deeper understanding of mathematics so that when they do math, they're not just following algorithms mechanically. The Number Corner curriculum, donated by one of our board members, is allowing us to do this. This curriculum is helping Twegashe's teachers learn how to teach for understanding and engagement. It's very detailed and even suggests the kind of probing questions teachers should ask. Teachers in Tanzania aren't used to teaching this way, so having this detailed guidance is very helpful. Thank you, Stephen. Here, 3 student helpers are showing different double 10 frame cards to their classmates. The helper on the left is Antonius. You'll meet helpers Asala and Benson later. Antonius is always cheerful and eager in class. He's one of a minority of Twegashe students who actually live with both their parents. In this slide, you can see that the students are very actively engaged, looking for the helper whose double 10 frame represents the equation on their paper.
Hands-on activities also help kids stay engaged in their learning. In addition to donated Montessori materials, we are fortunate to have a large supply of math manipulatives and science materials donated by former science educator. Thank you, Kira, for the Montessori materials and Catherine for those science materials. This is Joshua. He and his sister Dorcas are one of 2 pairs of twins in the 1st grade class.
And this is Ararai. She and her identical twin Asala are the other pair of twins at Twegashe. We like when they wear different clothes because otherwise it's very hard to tell them apart. Here, Ararai is arranging pattern blocks. She likes arranging shoes too. We often find her, or maybe it's Asala, organizing the bathroom break sandals outside the classroom.
We want our school program to be scalable. so more rural children can eventually receive this kind of education. Many of the materials we are using could have their own local version made, or they could inspire teachers at other schools to find local materials that could be used the same way.
This is Bernard last year in kindergarten, preparing to work on shape sorting during Montessori time. Bernard is now in first grade, and he's still one of the smallest students, but he's got lots of energy, and he definitely holds his own with his classmates. The Tanzanian curriculum doesn't include any science until third grade, so we're supplementing with science activities to help kids learn to wonder and ask questions about the world around them. Learning to think critically and scientifically is another important aim.
Each year, our new kindergartners hunt for worms and learn about how they digest the solid waste in the school's microflush biofield toilets. After a field trip to collect worms, kindergartner Nisela is helping put worms into the toilet digestion pit.
Worm hunting is hands-on learning at its best.
It's challenging to teach children to read in English when their vocabulary is still quite limited, but the students are making progress. Twegashe's 300 plus donated books and other donated language materials are helping a lot. In phase 2, we are planning to build 5 classrooms instead of 4, so we'll have room to start pre-K. This will give kids an extra year to learn English before they start learning to read.
This is first grader Stephenus, reading one of the donated Bob books. Seeing Stephenus brings to mind an interesting hand-raising phenomenon that we've noticed at Twegashe. As soon as the teacher starts asking a question, students will raise their hands before they've even heard the whole question or had any time to figure out whether or not they know the answer. So when they're called on, the response is often a blank stare or awkward, fidgety silence. But not with Stephenus. He raises his hand a lot, but he almost always knows the answer. Zelda and her classmates get very excited about books. Books are not only helping students learn to read, they're also opening up worlds. Village kids have very limited exposure to anything beyond daily life in the village. Most of them don't have any books in their homes or a TV or even a radio. We've noticed that this limited exposure translates into limited imagination for telling stories or drawing pictures, even thinking of something to say in letters to sponsors and pen pals. To give as much interaction with books as possible, teachers read stories to the children every day. They've scheduled library time twice a week, and children sign out books to take home every weekend.
While all kids are eager to greet us individually in the corridor, there are some who seem to have a particular drive to make conversation. Not surprisingly, those are the ones learning English most quickly. Zelda, in blue dress, on the left there, is a band of energy and always has something to say. Even when we meet her in the village, she's eager to try to talk in English.
And Wanaidi, on the right, seems especially eager to share information about herself and her life. We recently had a nice several-minute-long conversation in English about her trip to town to visit her grandmother. Ice cream was one of the highlights of the trip.
Thumbs up, Dorcas. Dorcas is a very determined little girl, Dorcas, on the left there. And she is definitely determined to learn English. She insisted on writing her most recent sponsor letter all by herself. She managed several sentences of phonetic spelling. Definitely good enough to get the message across.
Clemens is a delight. He's always bubbly and interested in everything. Recently, he enjoyed telling us in English about 2 occasions where he met us, or reminding us about 2 occasions where he met us in the village, once when his grandmother was supervising his basin bath outside their house, and another time when he was chasing a neighbor's escaped pig.
And on the right, Wema is another delightful child, always smiling or laughing. We often see her name on the blackboard as one of the children who needs to stay after school for misbehaving. In Wema's case, though, it's usually for talking when she shouldn't be. This urge to talk may be a problem in class, but it's definitely helping her to learn English.
Here is Doricas's twin Joshua drawing a picture for his sponsor in the US. The children love being called to receive a letter from their sponsor or to write a letter. We've got sponsors or pen pals for all but 6 of our first graders. Those needing sponsors still are Stephanus and Antonius, who you've already met, plus the 4 children shown here. A $600 donation will sponsor a child for a year. A sponsor has the opportunity to develop a relationship with an individual child, but the funds go into a common pot that supports all Twegashe students. If you can't sponsor financially, but you'd like to write letters, we're looking for pen pals too. We'd like to find a sponsor or a pen pal for all the first graders so no one feels left out.
Here you see Ursula, Adelaide's identical twin, and some other students at their tables looking at books while Madam Edita works with half of the class on Number Corner. We are trying to encourage Twegashe teachers to design more lessons with small groups like this. Having volunteers to help keep the other children on task facilitates this kind of instruction. We saw proof of how helpful volunteers can be when our children came to visit for 3 weeks in July. In addition to helping in the classroom, Aaron and Catherine worked one-on-one with Benson, who struggles with recognizing and writing letters.
Twegashe's teachers give students plenty of time for being creative. The children love when Madam Edita brings out the construction toys. This is first grader Mwanaidi working on a Tinker Toy car. And this is Elpidius, feeling good about his Lego creation. Elpidius's grandmother was a primary school teacher long ago in the village and seems to enjoy using a bit of English with us when she visits the school. We've heard she wasn't one to spare the rod in her teaching. And even today, corporal punishment is the norm in Tanzanian schools. But we're following a strict no corporal punishment policy at Twegashe.
Twegashe teachers are careful to praise kids for trying, not just for being correct. Wow stickers like the one Doricas is wearing help in that effort. In village homes, kids don't get much positive reinforcement.
Doricas is another small but spunky student. She's a girl who seems to always know what she wants. And if the sticker looks like it says mom to you, that's because it's upside down. But that would also be appropriate for Doricas, since she spends a lot of time helping her single mother care for her baby sister, Judith.
These are first graders, Lillian and Jacqueline, working hard on some arithmetic problems. Lillian and her 3 siblings are being raised by their grandmother. The grandmother still manages to find time to occasionally offer to help in the school garden. Jacqueline's father works at the village clinic. We want kids to be proud that they worked hard and did their best. Tending to kids' self-esteem seems to come naturally to our teachers. The first grader took their first test just before the September midterm break. Madam Edita, their teacher, decided not to send the test papers alone home with the students. She planned instead to share them with the parents at the next parent event. Her reason, she was afraid the students would be comparing their results with each other on the way home. Now, this kind of concern is in sharp contrast to public schools and many other private schools, where test scores are commonly posted for all to see without regard to the feelings of children who did poorly.
To help our teachers learn to teach in a more student-centered way, we're participating in a training program. The teachers go to Arusha for 3 separate trainings, and after each training, a mentor comes on site to Twegashe for observation and coaching. We've already noticed teachers using some of the techniques they learned in their first training.
Here is Joshua enjoying a nutritious school lunch. We've planted a school garden to help provide fresh fruits and vegetables. Eventually, we hope to grow more of the school's food. The village has offered Twegashe an additional land, and we expect to use much of this land for agriculture. The tables Joshua and his friends are sitting at are new, made by a shop in town. They had never made anything like this before, but after lots of explaining, they managed to pull it off. The tables can convert into benches when we use the cafeteria as an auditorium.
Here you can see one half of a table converted to a bench, with first grader Reveliana and some friends trying it out. The girl seated on the right is Reveliana, and the boy in the adjacent photo is another first grader, Alex. Reveliana and Alex are both very quiet, hardworking students, a teacher's dream. We never see their names on the board.
Livestock projects at school will contribute to school lunches and help kids learn valuable skills. Taking care of the goats is one of Zelda's responsibility at home. We are hoping to channel her abundant energy into a leadership role, taking care of Twegashe's goats. And these goats were given by Zelda's dad to the school. And we thank him for doing that for us.
Here's Doricus, again, as a kindergartner, enjoying the end of the year field trip to a fish farm in a neighboring village. We hope trips like these may give children and their families ideas about new ways to generate income in the village.
We are working to get parents involved in their children's education, for example, inviting them to Parents' Day to see some of the things their children are doing at school. Each child also has a diary that's sent home whenever their teacher has a message to share with their parents.
And on the right there, you can see Judith, baby sister of Doricus and Joshua, attending Parents' Day with her mother. She's the one that Doricus takes care of. Volunteering is another way we're trying to get parents involved. After we discussed the danger of grass fires at a parent meeting, parents organized themselves to come the very next day and clear a fire line. A month later, there was a fire that would probably have reached the school if the fire line hadn't been there.
Twegashe's school program makes a conscious effort to keep local traditions alive. On the left, first grader Beata is drumming on a traditional drum. Our teachers often use drums to accompany the children at music time. The other photo shows Speratus and some other kindergartners learning to weave using banana leaves.
There's music every day at Twegashe School. The children love to sing and dance. They also love going through the windows in this action song. This time it's the turn for the twins, Asala and Ararai. In addition to a 40-minute lunchtime recess, teachers take the kids out for more organized play several times a week. Here you see Madame Edita encouraging Zelda as she prepares to run her leg of a relay race. And our newest teacher, Madame Brigitte, is enjoying a ball game with the kindergartners.
At recess, the preferred game is soccer, because soccer is a national sport in Tanzania. This is Antirios, a quiet, humble person. One of those kids you could forget he is there in the classroom. But on the soccer field, everyone knows he is there. In the photo there, he is the one with the ball. He already has a reputation as Twegashe's soccer superstar.
Many of the girls are reluctant to join in the soccer games, even though they say that they like to play soccer. Agnes is an exception. We see her almost every day out there playing soccer with the boys. We want to encourage all girls to play all sports, but this requires some work with our teachers. The older teachers especially tend to want to separate boys and girls for sports and direct girls to specific games like netball or jump rope. Helping girls gain confidence and not be afraid to express themselves is one of Twegashe's goals. Academics, nutrition, music, sports, all these things are very important. But most of all, we strive for kids to feel happy and safe and loved.
As a kindergartner last year, Frank, on the right, was very unhappy for the first few weeks of school. One day, he actually tried to run away, but not anymore. A few months ago, Frank was looking especially happy one day. We asked him why. He said, "I'm at school." That's what we are striving for. And that is what you are making possible. Twegashe's first class of students are growing up fast. They are now approaching the end of their first grade year. Before we know it, they will be entering grade 4, and we have outgrown the phase 1 school building with its 4 classrooms. So it's time to get started on phase 2. The construction drawings for phase 2, the final phase, are nearly complete. We plan to begin construction next year. The phase 2 school buildings will include 5 classrooms, a library, and administration block. 3 more duplexes, a water supply system, and solar power are also part of the phase 2 budget. That total budget, including 3 years of operation, is $630,000.
With your help, we've already raised $160,000 toward this goal. We're running a matching campaign this fall, actually starting this week. 4 generous donors have pledged a total of $60,000 in matching funds. The blue arrow shows the path we need to travel to get to our phase 2 goal. The first part is dotted because we have that amount promised already if we can raise $60,000 before the end of February. We're hoping you can help us with that challenge. And the red arrow shows where we'll be after making the match, almost halfway to the goal.
We hope you will support this fall's campaign for Twegashe School Phase 2 and give Dorcas and her classmates a home where they can continue with the quality primary school education that will prepare them for a bright future. And thank you so much for your joining us today. And thank you so much for your interest and support for Core Tanzania and Twegashe School.
And now, Clements would like to say goodbye before he goes to recess.
My name is Raymond. I'm grade 1 at Twegashe Primary School. I like mathematics. Now I'm going to recess. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. That brings us to the end of our presentation. Time to get questions. If there are questions in the chat room, Lisa, please read them. And after that, then we'll open up questions from the floor. Thank you so much for being with us.
Right now, there are no questions. I think the presentation was so good with the pictures and your narrative that I don't think anyone wanted to look away and even type anything. So right now there are none written in the chat. But if we want to hold off for a second, if anyone wants to ask something.
Okay. And if you don't have a question, you might have.
Yeah, Michael.
Yes.
This is Tom. I had a question for you regarding how this curriculum, the Montessori, modified Montessori, is different from the curriculum you experienced when you were a child in Tanzania. Would you say it's markedly different, or are there similarities? Were you even learning English at this stage of your education?
Thank you, Tom, for asking that question. I would say it's night and day difference. When I was kindergarten,
First of all, did you go to kindergarten?
Yes, I did.
You did. Oh, okay.
I did go to kindergarten, but the kindergarten, this was through a church. Our church was the one who was running the kindergarten part of the school, but there was nothing like this. All we are doing is the teacher will come and will have their own notes. They will be reading the notes, and if we had a blackboard, those small, tiny blackboards, and you write or draw something there, but there weren't many. So English was out of question. We didn't get to learn English until we were in 3rd grade. And even there at 3rd grade, all we're doing was just simple words. Often they were isolated vocabulary, like this is a spoon. No, not a spoon. There was no spoon. This is a pencil. This is a chalk. That is a blackboard. That is a hen. But we didn't get to learn to communicate in English until maybe we're in secondary school, basically.
So from your experience and then what you see happening here, you would say this is like way more effective.
Oh, way more effective. And the teachers are seeing it. I don't know, one of the teachers was saying, when she was starting her career, she said, if I had been exposed to this kind of teaching, I would have been far in my career. And recently she said she would not want to leave the school because of the way the tools she has to help her do her job is fantastic. And yeah, Tom, this is quite different and is very effective from what I see. I mean, the children, let's say like Mwanaidi, for example, to be able, she's 7, to be able to speak few sentences in English and understandable, to be understood, is unfathomable. I mean, for a kindergarten in Tanzania who is going to the regular schools, you don't expect it. No way.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you.
You know, Tom, what you asked is similar to what
You just muted.
Oh, we lost you, Lisa.
Oh, can you hear
There
me
we
now?
go.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so Tom, what you said was really similar to what Bill's question about how the teachers are doing with this new way of teaching. I really liked, Michael, how you described your perspective on it, and then you at the end there, you're sliding into the teacher part. So it'd be interesting to hear more about like how much time it's taken and their you know, their thoughts on the changes and how they're starting to contribute to some of the suggestions, or how's that going?
You mean the teachers, how they are participating?
How they're doing with this kind of teaching. Well, I'll say one thing from when they start the Montessori specifically for kindergarten, when they started learning, when Keela was over there teaching them how to use the Montessori method and using some of the materials that she donated. One of them said, after being exposed to it for a few weeks, she said, wow, this actually teaches kids to think, because they're so used to just the rote learning kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the teachers, they seem to be very happy with this kind of teaching, because you can see they are trying very hard to make it a participatory kind of education. It's hard for them because they're not used to this, but you can see they want to be able to take advantage of this and do well in their job.
Still struggling with logistics, things like, you know, to have kids doing activities in class. They're not used to having to prepare for that, and maybe have some kids doing one thing and some kids doing another thing, and how to juggle that. They need a lot. They need more help with that and more time learning that kind of thing, but they are trying hard.
Yeah, and that's for in getting prepared for the class. That's where we are seeing major challenges with them, because the way they prepare for their class is by knowing which book they're going to be using, at what time, and if there are paragraphs, which paragraph they're going to be using. So the book is there, the paragraphs are there, she's seen it, and all she needs is the students. So she goes in the class with her book, she knows which page, which paragraph, and she uses that. That's basically it. Now you're asking them to prepare for the students' activities as well, and them also prepare themselves what they will be doing and what the kids will be doing. They need to have the material. They need to make sure that the material are there. They have the right material, the right number, the students will be there, everything is there. So to pre-plan, then it looks like it will require maybe a week ahead. You're preparing a week ahead, and that is not common. So they don't have that, and that's a big challenge. But the good thing is that they are trying and they're asking questions, and they're reaching out. If they don't know what to use, they could ask what what should we use here? Do you have something like this? So that's very good.
Yeah. And year on year, you know, their skills and confidence and competence at that planning will, you know, improve.
Yes, as we go, yeah, that's going to improve. The good thing is that they want to teach, and they want to use this method of teaching. They are not afraid of it, which is good. And also, this corporal punishment, most of the schools in Tanzania, they use corporal punishment to bring order in class. So you find teachers are not willing to separate themselves from that kind of method. But these ones, they're pretty good. They bought into the idea, and they don't see why corporal punishment has to be used. So that's good and it's positive.
Is there other questions, Lisa?
Susan has a comment. Yeah, did you say the video would be available later to share with others? They won't be able to resist those cuties.
Yes, they will be. It will be there. You'll be on.
We'll put it on the website.
Website.
Yeah.
So how is the school year broken down? Is it like a 12 month of studies, and is it broken down by quarters, or how does that relate to like US school and you know, the calendar year structure?
The school year is broken into two. So January through June, and then August, July.
June is off. June is
yeah.
a break. There's no school in June.
So January through beginning of June, and then they go on break for a month, and they come back in July, sometime in July, all the way through December, beginning of December. Mm-hmm. And then December is off, and they start again in July. But within half a year, they have midterm breaks. Usually it's 2 weeks. But it's up to the school. You can do 2 weeks or 1 week, but they have to have a break there between semester.
So we just did 1 week.
And the reason we did 1 week is because the teachers saw that the students were not where they're supposed to be. So then we decided, okay, let's keep them another week. And the reason is because of the language, basically. So they started kindergarten. They were supposed to know certain things according to the government, but this is done in English language, which they are not familiar with. So the learning part is taking long or is slow because they have to learn the language first. And so that was working against them. So, and that's why we are thinking about starting with a pre-K later on. And that will help preparing them with the language part. And then when they are in kindergarten, first grade, then they can start learning what they're supposed to be learning.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
This is to Judy again. Judy, I'm the Rotarian in Wenatchee, and wondering how you're coming on your application for your district grant.
Interesting that you should ask. It's going to be a global grant because it's pushing $60,000. And tomorrow, Jeanette and I are making a presentation to Seattle 4 to get started. So as soon as we've done that, based on their questions, we're going to revise what we have and then we'll get it off to you. Does that answer your question?
Will that be a Zoom meeting tomorrow?
Yes, it is actually, but it's only for it's to their International Services Committee.
Could you
and
send
maybe-
me the link on it?
Would you like? Are you asking if you would like could attend? Is that what you're asking?
Well, I'd like to. Yeah, I'd like to. Could you send me the link for the Zoom meeting?
I think I should ask them first, but if that's all right with you, because it's Jeanette, what do you think?
Yeah, maybe we should ask them if it's okay if we invite someone else. Yeah, since it's just a closed meeting for their committee, it might be good.
Yeah, but I'd be happy to, and then we will definitely send you the PowerPoint with what we said.
All right.
Yeah, so we'll check with them as soon as this meeting's over. I'll send off an email.
And maybe we
Very
should
good.
share with.
Thank you.
No, thanks for your question. Maybe we should share with everyone that what Judy and Earl are talking about is that we're applying for a Rotary Global grant for the water system. So that part of phase 2, we're hoping we can have some funding help from Rotary with that.
There's a question.
Judy has been a very great help. Thank you so much, Judy, for everything that you're doing. And if you remember, we have power at school, solar power, and that was enabled by Judy and her Rotary Club members.
Yeah, that was Rotary District 5030, which is basically King County, provided the funds for that. 15 clubs and the district went together on that. This next grant is considerably bigger, so we'll be looking beyond our local area.
Thank you.
There's another question. This is from Carol Ann. As the parents are learning some English, are their kids coming home with more vocabulary that they want to share? Yeah, what is happening with the parents and then beyond the children in school?
That's an interesting question. At the beginning, the parents were worried that the students, their children are going to come back home wanting to express themselves or sharing what they did at school in this foreign language that the parents won't be able to understand, and therefore they won't be able to participate. But recently, we are getting positive feedback. Some of the parents are learning few words of English, and they're excited to see that their children are acquiring a different language already.
It's very exciting to people.
And also, they are happy. In some of the families, they have these students have siblings who are in government schools, who are higher grades, who have started using English or being taught English. So they get assignments, English assignments home. So as they're working on the assignments, when they, for things that they get stumbled on, they ask these little ones, hey, what do they call this? Do you know what it is? And our children will tell them what it is. And so the parents are very thankful of that they have somebody who is helping their children also. So they're finding it's a win-win situation.
No other questions right now, but yeah.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Ali?
I was wondering, so when you were talking about the teaching and the sort of additional effort that's involved, preparing and planning and all of that, or the extra weeks, how are the teachers compensated? Is there a state sort of mandate in terms of what you can pay? Or how does their pay compare to teachers at other schools who may in some ways have an easier job because it's more sort of standard and cut and dried?
Mhm. We realize that our teachers are going to have to work harder than the teachers at other schools, and that we are going to want to attract those good teachers who are willing to work like that. And so part of that was to attract them with a better pay. So we are paying better than what what other teachers are being paid at other schools.
At primary school.
At primary school, yeah, for sure. And it's also, in order to keep them at the school, we gave them some extra fringe benefits like the housing. They have better housing than you can find at other schools. And
much better.
Yeah, actually, that I was in conversation with somebody who had come to visit our school. He is I think he's doing his master's in I think it's in education. He wants to be once he graduates, actually, he's being trained by the government. Once he graduates, he will become one of those inspectors to inspect the schools. So when he came there, he said, his comment was, you know, you guys, you are doing something that is not done anywhere else. People are talking about compensation. When they talk about compensation, people think about the salary, high salaries. He's saying, to his view, the salary is not a main thing. It is what you use that money to purchase. So you guys are giving them good homes. They're not paying that much. And the houses themselves, they're beautiful. You can't find them anywhere. And they have room, bigger room than they can find anywhere else. So he's saying the salary, it can be lower than what we are paying them, as long as people have places to live, and the classroom size is good, big enough, and the number of children, they are fewer than they are used to. And he said, this is more than they can get, anyone can get. He said, if he was going to be teaching, he would have asked for an employment at Twegashe.
And then training is also, they're getting a lot of training, which is part of their compensation.
Yeah, which is not available everywhere. So, and the teachers, they like it.
Tell them about the furniture as well, and the comments you've gotten on that.
The classroom furniture?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had a visitor from the Minister of Education who happened to be, he's from that area, one village over. So he came to visit us there, and we had just gone in the tables and chairs, those little tables and chairs in the classroom. And he looked at them. He said, I have to share this. So he took pictures of them and he sent them to his friends, and on his friends, then they started sending them everywhere. And questions came, where were these chairs and tables made? Where did you bring them from? So they would say, yeah, they were made here in the village and the neighboring village. Yeah. They were saying, no way. No one can do this kind of function, that can make this kind of function in the village. Yes, they were. So it is a thing now. People are asking about this furniture, who made them, and they're beautiful. The same thing is happening with the tables in the cafeteria. I mean, we get praises all the time. I mean, they are great. I think they did a good job for something that they've never done. Although it took a lot of time trying to explain them with a lot of changes on, yes, you did this, but this is what we meant, okay, do it again. And after that, they made them, and yeah, it's beautiful. The teachers, when they see this, they want to stay. And also the environment, the kitchen, the cook without, they don't want to use, I mean, for them not being to use the firewood and not being in the smoke, makes their life better, and they want to be there. So, I mean, everything around
It's
is
not all salary. Yeah.
yeah,
There's a lot of working condition,
yeah.
positive features too.
And also the teachers' houses, they are not allowed to use firewood. And we told them why we shouldn't be using firewood, and they understand why, for their health. And oh, they love that. Yeah.
I have another
I'm
question. Oh, go ahead.
I'm Carla Armstrong, and I'm on the board. And Holly, to your point, I also wanted to add, yes, we are being super mindful as a board to offer higher salaries. And one of the reasons is that we're in a rural area, but we want to pay above market and get just a better quality of teacher with this commitment, provide good homes, and then we're looking at what other benefits we can offer. So when we get to the point that we have 10 staff, we can get an insurance plan for the school. So that's one of the things we're putting into our budget, for that operating budget, as we move forward, because that'll happen before you know it, because we'll be adding classes and teachers.
Yeah, thank you, Carla. Yeah,
Sure.
that's true. Because now insurance, they have to buy their own insurance from their own other plans, but those individual plans are very, very expensive. Twegashe can be a member and get a reduced rate, but in order to do that, there's a specific number, that there's a minimum number of employees that we have to be able to qualify. And unfortunately, we are one short employee. So we can't,
Next year.
we can't do that now. So when we get there, we'll check and see if actually, we don't know the rate, actually. We don't know how much it will cost us. And we don't know if we'll be able to afford it or not. But once we get the numbers they need, then we'll pursue that and see if that's doable.
With all this great stuff for the teachers, how do the teachers at the government schools in the village feel about?
Bill, did you have to ask that question? Come on.
That was Judy's concern.
No, actually, it's not that bad. They know the difference. And when we started this, we involved them from the beginning. We told them that this is a relief project to what they are doing. So we are working as a team. There is no animosity between the two schools. And we have offered, or actually, to share our facility when a specific thing is available. Let's say library. Kids want to come read the books that we have in the library. If the library is not being used at that time, yes, we can make plans, invite them to come over. Same with if we get their computers, for example. We have told them that if we have the computers and we are not using them at that time, we can schedule maybe an hour, a day. We can invite them meeting place. We have the cafeteria there that we use as an auditorium. We have told them that it will be available if they need to use it. So, and we recently we're talking about this teacher development training. There is a possibility that some of those trainings we could invite them be on the team to get those trainings, and so.
Yes, in fact, there's one that we definitely have in mind, which it costs a certain amount a year, and you can have up to like 50 teachers, because a lot of it is using the internet, using the phone, data, internet. So we're planning to open it up to the teachers from that school as well, and so that they can get some benefit too.
Yeah, they are. Our relationship seemed to be very friendly, and all the time the principal at the other school, usually if there's something that is happening at the school, he makes sure that we understand is going on, and so we can participate, and we do the same. So I think we are in good relationship.
There are no more questions in the chat. It's 5, but I think Jeanette and Michael, you're okay to continue.
We can hang around, sure. And
yeah.
If anybody else wants to chat a little, has other questions, we're happy to stay on. But maybe we should formally close so that other folks who have things we need to do can move on.
So Michael and Jeanette, you're looking forward to 2022. How are we planning for the new 2022 intake for the new sort of 30 or 30 plus kindergartners?
Yeah, so when we go back, we are going to start, this time we are going to start early. Last time we had waited until the students were identified, the Kiambare, because I was working.
That's the public school, Kiambare.
Kiambare, yeah, it's a public school. I was working with the principal there, but this year we are thinking we have to start early. So we are going to send out application, or we are going to open up the application period beginning November instead of waiting to December. So in November, we are going to send out a message so parents can apply. And the numbers, we are still going to allow 30 students, because the room, that load we think is enough. It's enough for the teachers. Did I answer your question, Mike?
Yeah, it's still based on the lottery system, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, so, yeah, thank you, Mike. If you are looking for that, you are assuming that there will be more students applying, more than what the numbers we can accept, right? What do we do if that happens? Yes, we are going to use Rotary, because we don't have, we are not employing any other method like take a test, or can you pay, or you can't pay, or anything like that. So it's everybody has equal chance, so to speak. So the only thing is, if your name get picked, then you are in. If you are not, and we can't do anything. And also, we are still restricting to the students from that village, because this is a day school, and they have to walk to school. We don't have transportation for that. So they have to be coming from the same village where the school is.
And also keeping numbers of girls and boys equal would be, that would influence the choice. And if they're kids who have, if they're applicants who have another child from their family already in the school, then that would give them a lower priority, because we want to try to serve as many families as possible. Well, thank you all for coming. I think we should sign off. I mean, we'll say goodbye and say thank you, and then feel free. We will hang around. Michael and I will stay on in case, if you want to stay and ask more questions, you're all welcome. We have time.
Yeah, and I see Mark Oplinger is here. Mark, are you there?
Maybe he stepped away.
Maybe he stepped away. I was going to ask him to see if we can say something about.
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
Hello.
Oh, hey, hi. I was going to ask you if you can give us an update on the drawings for phase 2. I don't know if people might want
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, so as Michael mentioned, we're getting ready for phase 2 construction, and there's been some evolution in the design just to add the classroom, and also constructability, from a constructability standpoint and a phasing standpoint. So we've got, I don't know if you noticed in the rendering that you put up there earlier, Michael, that there's the administration center is now sort of its own building. And we're looking at possibly making the library its own building, or somehow rearranging the construction of that part of the project to make it easier to build and accommodate the site better. Also, just because we know that this is going to be wildly successful, we've looked at a 10-story option, and so that'll be in the works. Look for that in 2030. But no, we're also, I don't know if you spoke about it earlier, sorry for joining late, but we're adding a girls' latrine, right?
That's right.
Again, just to accommodate the student body in a way that's unfolding. And so it'll be thoughtfully done. It'll be an architectural gem, I'm sure of it.
Maybe I should explain that. He's referring to, we do have latrines for the boys and the girls, but the boys' latrine has a urinal in it. So it can accommodate more use, because most of the time that's all they need to do is use the urinal. But the girls, there's nothing like that. So they need a stall in order to use the bathroom, and there's only a few stalls. And so there's always a line. And so they've started even just going around the back of the room around the back of the building and peeing in the grass, so they don't have to wait. So we are planning to construct what they call a female urinal. It's similar to a boy's urinal, except that it has squatting places, and then just a trough to carry the liquid away.
So some important stuff happening. We're also looking at ways to, from an engineering standpoint, to improve the detailing on the roof and eliminate, the intrusion of bats and other pests and so on that we're experiencing in the first phase. So just fine tuning the design as we learn as we go. Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Mark, along those lines, with now 2 years of experience with regard to the rains and water flow and drainage, are there any things that you've had to incorporate in the phase 2 design to cope with, the rain?
Actually, Michael would probably, and Jeanette would be in a better position to speak of that. They haven't asked me to make any modifications, so I'm assuming that things are working the way they should, but I don't know if Michael, Jeanette can.
Yeah, it's working. So what we did at the building phase 1, that we have collected the water okay, in the back of the building, there's a kind of a hump. So the water from Cafeteria Road, what we call it, of the rain, when it rains, it slopes down towards the foundation of that building. So when Bill was building the foundation, he put in the perforated pipes to collect that water. And some of it is going under the building, and some of it is going around the building. And all of that is being collected and directed to, there's the drainage ditch on the northern side of the building.
Yeah.
So all that water is being sent there and is going to be running towards the marsh.
Yeah, and that seems to be working. That's right. That was actually a really interesting solution. So that all that water is diverted either under or around the building and daylights downstream from the buildings and floods out into the fields.
Right. And then the water collected from the roof also is collected, and we are going to collect it, and that's the project that Judy was talking about, the water project, that we're going to collect that water and use it in the school.
Michael, I am so glad to hear that the drainage system is working.
Thank you so much.
Is that when you were there, Frank, when they were doing that? Ah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, Frank is one of those people who got a chance to go there and help make that. So thank you so much, Frank. It's working.
Bill appreciated your help.
Mark, you were going to say something?
No, you may have touched on it already, but up at the staff housing, you've got those rain barrels in place, right, where you're collecting the water off the roof, and
Yes.
and so that helps as well to
Yeah.
mitigate any of that stormwater runoff.
Yeah. Any comment from anybody else?